That leopard sucks!
I would rather get raped in a hot air balloon over the Tour de France than go see a Nickelback concert.
Limp Bizkit sucks cock!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, music lovers, especially my rock music lovers. That's right. Welcome back for another one. Listen, when it comes to rock and roll music, I am a huge fan, no doubt. And I'm sure most of you watching this are just like me. Rock music means something to you more than any other genre. And it doesn't mean that we don't like other music. Some people are very stingy with their music and they try to stay in just one genre and say that's the end all be all, nothing else matters. I'm not one of those people. But if I had to choose and I was stuck on an island, give me rock and roll music all day for the rest of my life. One of my favorite parts of doing and posting a video is the interaction. If I can get a comment back from somebody, it means a lot to me. It really does. Whether it's negative or positive. I get something out of it every single time. In the end, it's, how many people, if it is a negative, are putting themselves out there like you are, myself or anybody else out there that chooses to express themselves in a certain kind of way, whether it is on social media or in some other aspect of life. Now, the positive ones make you feel obviously good because you know people are watching and they like what they're seeing and they're giving you positive feedback. That's always good. But when it comes to rock and roll music, us as fans, we're not always positive, especially if it's something we do not like. If there is a band out there that we think is horrible, we're going to say it and we're going to usually say that they suck. That is very subjective, right? Now, when I'm talking about comments from the viewers, I'm going to go over some today, and I really want you to listen because as I read through them, and I went back and looked at a lot of my videos, I realized, you know what? It's amazing that rock and roll music can have such amazing bands, but there's a lot of people out there that love them, but there's usually just as many people out there that hate them. You might not be, but just in case you are asking, hey, Mike, why are you doing this video today? Well, I'm going to tell you. I did a short a while back. It was a YouTube short basically asking which big four is better. Better is basically an opinionated word, right? But which had more impact? Any of the way you want to put it, I was asking. The big four in thrash metal, when you think of Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, and Slayer. And then the big four in grunge, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Nirvana. Which big four do you consider better? And obviously that is an opinion. And the comment that this viewer wrote, it actually intrigued me. They wrote, none are better because music is entirely subjective. And that's absolutely true. And that's why when you think about rock and roll music over the years, any genre, why is it that as fans, we just love some things and absolutely hate others? Especially when it comes to bands that are so huge and made such a big impact. You can find those people out there that hate them and say they suck. The comment that caught my attention was one on a video I did about the Beastie Boys and their punk rock roots. Now, this video pretty much, I kind of dive into their history before they became icons in the hip hop world. They were huge punk rock fans and they were a punk rock band. The Beastie Boys were a punk band. Now, one of the commenters said, and I'm not posting this one, but basically they said that my title talking about the history of the Beastie Boys was not a good title because they didn't get what they were expecting out of it. I do apologize for that. But I'm going to make a title and I'm going to talk about the subject. Now, it doesn't mean everybody's going to like it, just like with any band in this world. You might not like their music, but somebody is. To those who didn't like it, I apologize. But basically the comment just said, overrated. Now, I thought about that. The huge impact the Beastie Boys made on hip hop when it first started to blow up in the 1980s. I mean, that's not overrated. To me, that's absolutely huge. But again, that's an opinion, right? So to know that somebody out there could think that these guys, these white guys from Brooklyn, New York, who came into a world that was predominantly African American and this music was to generate, interest from an urban culture that really didn't have much to gravitate to. Well, they did in the 80s. And then these three guys come in. They do it well, and they made such a huge impact. But people think they're overrated. It's just amazing to wrap my head around that. But again, what do you think? Are the Beastie Boys overrated? Or are they exactly where they should be? Icons in the hip hop and the rock and roll world. Because they are rock stars, in my opinion. And then when it comes to Nirvana, I've done quite a few things on Nirvana. Kurt Cobain as an individual and the band. And then just the grunge movement as a whole. It's just such a interesting movement. You could probably do an entire channel. In fact, I think there are some out there just about Seattle music, the grunge movement, and what it meant to the 90s. And there's a lot of content there. You just got to dig down a lot of deep avenues once you get all the big fish out of the way. But there's a lot there. And people are intrigued by it because that was an interesting time for rock and roll music. And the fact that this person wrote this comment right here, Nirvana is horrible. I mean, that blows my freaking mind. But at the same time, that's us as fans. We have the free will to feel and say whatever we want about any band, especially if we don't like that band. But for them to say Nirvana is horrible, it just makes me realize, wow. For one, I kind of wonder, what is your favorite band? What type of music do you listen to? Do you like rock music? Because I'll be honest with you, as a young kid, the first time I heard Nirvana, I can't sit there and say I thought it was the most amazing thing in the world, but I heard it, didn't have much of an opinion on it at all. But as I got a little older, and I heard it again and again, and I realized the impact of it, I realized maybe a little bit of what the lyrics were meaning, just a little more about the band and the artists that were creating the music. It started to mean a little more to me. And that doesn't mean it's my favorite band. Nirvana is not my favorite band, but I can respect their impact and think they are one hell of a band that did something that will go down in history as an amazing time in rock music, and they were one of the biggest parts of it. But to say they're horrible, man, that's a pretty intense opinion about a band that did so much for rock music. Another thing on Nirvana, really quick before we move on, was there was a video I did a while back on the band Mother Love Bone. I said basically I think they could have been bigger than Nirvana had they not lost their lead singer Andy Wood to an overdose. Again, I knew that was going to draw some controversy because Nirvana was huge. Them releasing Nevermind pretty much prompted the grunge movement to explode and be what it was. I know that and I can respect that. But I knew creating a title like this band would have been bigger than Nirvana would draw some attention. At least that's the hope. I do think Mother Love Bone was a great band. And had they not lost Andy Wood, you never know what they could have been. It's just speculation. People out there did think they could have possibly been that way. Some people would have kicked Pearl Jam out of the Big Four and put Mother Love Bone in. Others said I was crazy for even saying that they hadn't accomplished nothing, which of course they haven't because their lead singer died. But Nirvana did get to accomplish greatness, they didn't. So I get that. But the fact that this person wrote a comment, basically, and this is what they said, the other Seattle bands wrote good rock songs. Nirvana wrote good pop songs masquerading as rock songs. That blew my mind because how the hell could you say that? Now, again, this is one thing I will say, and I've said it before. When Nevermind came out and blew up, I do believe, if you go listen to Nevermind and Nirvana's album Bleach right before that, Bleach is more Nirvana being authentic Nirvana. But them going into a big label, working with Butch Vig, a huge producer, and creating Nevermind, doesn't mean that they were creating pop songs. But I do believe that they kind of made it more radio friendly, and that was the intent of the label, to make it more, to make it sound better for the masses, which is exactly what they did, and they did a hell of a job. Do I think Nirvana would have sounded a little different had they released Nevermind through Sub Pop Records, which is what they released Bleach through? I do think it would have been different, and I do not think it would have blew up as massively as it did. But that's the brilliance of these music labels. They know how to take something that's good and make it even better in the end, make it great. In this case, historic. For somebody to say Nirvana was creating pop songs, that just shows right there the thought process of us as rock fans. On the other side of the spectrum, it's not always saying a band sucks or you hate them, but it's maybe you both like the band, but there's a difference of opinion on members or certain songs. When it comes to Van Halen, I did a video a while back about how I believe, and I still believe to this day, they're one of the most fortunate bands of all time. They had such an amazing run when they formed with David Lee Roth as their frontman, and they did amazing things. And then that whole shit went south. David left. You bring in the man, Sammy Hagar, and you don't skip a beat. In fact, you keep a lot of the same fans. You lose some, but you develop an even stronger, newer fan base with Sammy, and you release 4 #1 albums. So, not to say that because they did that, they were better than what they did with Dave. It's just, it's all about timing and what the people want at the time. Doesn't mean what you did is better, because they never released the #1 album with David Lee Roth. But that doesn't mean that it was any better with Sammy. But I believe they were both amazing eras, and you got some amazing music from both. And then you got one comment that says, that the band was better off with Sammy Hagar, that he got the best out of him. And then the other one says Dave, hands down. And the comments in that video are pretty much just mirror that. You got people that love Sammy and say that was the best time for the band. Then you got other comments that say Dave, Diamond Dave, all day. And that's just the divide. And I'm sure when it originally happened, once Sammy came into the fold, that's how it was. You got fans that didn't want to listen at first. You got fans that didn't want to listen no more, and they probably didn't. They stuck with the David era. And then the ones that jumped on board, it was a whole new era for Van Halen. And the fact that there's still that divide to this day just shows you the passion of rock and roll fans. It was so cool, and I absolutely love it. I find it funny that sometimes I'll get comments on videos that basically just say, this band sucks, not even worth my time to watch the video. And I'm like, why the hell would you take your time to see a video, comment on it, not even watch it? I mean, what the hell's the point? Anyway, however you want to spend your time, it's your time, man. It's your life. It's my life. Do whatever we want with our life. But the fact that there's such this big divide in rock music, even to this day, it blows my mind. But I love it. And that's the passion that we have. If you're just being an idiot and saying something sucks and you really have no interest in it at all and it means nothing to you, then those kind of people I kind of wonder about. But again, like I said, your life. But the ones that are passionate, that just feel like that's just not something they're not getting anything out of it. It means nothing to them. That's fine. If it sucks to you, it sucks to you. Doesn't mean it sucks to everybody else. So many great bands over the decades, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. There's even bands that I'll sit there, and I'm guilty of it. I've said a band sucks. Shouldn't say that because I just don't like them. They just don't resonate with me. And there's bands that didn't resonate with me at one time that I've given a chance to more than once. And eventually I broke and they wore on me, and I started to see a different side of them and hear things differently. That's why I believe we should always give things a chance. More than once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. Sometimes you might find that nugget that you didn't see the first time, and then you see the art in it. And sometimes you never see that with bands. But I absolutely love it that as rock fans, we can have this line that we create where we're in the same family. But I'm not going to listen to that because it doesn't mean as much to me as obviously it means to you. But anyway, go out there. Take care of your friends and family. Do something amazing. Open up your mind. Try to see things differently. If in the end you give things a chance and you see it the same, that's fine. At least you gave it a chance. But you got to show people respect, man. These people work hard to get where they're at. They're doing a lot better than me and you are. So, if it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. But still, if you really don't know, give something a chance. Till next time, take care of yourself. I'm out.